Join me as I take on the challenge of creating awesome mini scrapwood art without letting any painting mistakes ruin my masterpiece. Mini scrapwood art is all about experimentation and creativity, and sometimes those happy little accidents can turn into something truly amazing. Making mistakes while painting can be really frustrating, especially when you put so much time and effort into your project. You might feel like you've ruined your entire piece, or that you've wasted all the materials you used. Many artists get discouraged when their paint doesn't turn out as expected, and they might even consider starting over from scratch. Fear of failure is a common obstacle that can hold you back from exploring your creativity and taking risks. Painting mistakes can be heartbreaking, especially if you're working on a piece that's really important to you. You might feel like you've let yourself down, or that you're not good enough to create something beautiful. The fear of making mistakes can be so overwhelming that it prevents you from even trying. Mistakes can happen to anyone, even experienced artists, and they're often a natural part of the creative process. The key is to learn from them and use them as an opportunity to grow and improve. Whether it's a misplaced brush stroke or a miscalculated color, every mistake is a chance to try something new and exciting. When you're working with paint, mistakes can happen in all sorts of ways. Maybe you spill some paint on your work surface, or maybe you mix a color that doesn't quite turn out as expected. The good news is that many of these mistakes can be easily fixed, or even incorporated into your design. You can use a paint spill as a unique texture, or turn a mistake into a happy little accident that adds character to your piece. Different types of paint can be more or less forgiving when it comes to mistakes. For example, watercolor paint is notoriously tricky to work with, because it's so easy to make a mistake that can't be fixed. On the other hand, acrylic paint is much more forgiving, because it dries quickly and can be easily covered up if something goes wrong. One of the most important things to remember when working with paint is that mistakes are inevitable, and they're often a natural part of the creative process. Instead of getting discouraged when something goes wrong, try to see it as an opportunity to learn and grow. You can use mistakes to try out new techniques, or to add unique textures and effects to your work. I remember one time when I was working on a piece and I made a mistake that I thought was going to ruin the whole thing. I had spent hours painting this intricate design, and then I accidentally knocked over a jar of paint and spilled it all over my work. At first, I was devastated. I thought I was going to have to start all over again. But then I took a step back and looked at the spill, and I realized that it could actually be kind of cool. So I decided to roll with it, and I started incorporating the spill into my design. I used the textured, uneven surface of the paint to create a unique effect, and I even added some extra details to make it look like it was intentional. It ended up being one of my favorite pieces, and it's a great example of how a mistake can sometimes turn into something beautiful. The mistake actually ended up being a happy accident that added a lot of character to the piece. It was a great reminder that even when things don't go as planned, they can still turn out okay. In fact, sometimes they can even turn out better than you expected. Looking back on that experience, I realized that it was a really valuable learning opportunity. It taught me to be more flexible and adaptable when I'm working on a piece, and to not be too hard on myself when things don't go as planned. It also reminded me that mistakes are a natural part of the creative process, and that they can often lead to unexpected and exciting results. In the end, the key to creating awesome mini scrapwood art is to not be afraid of making mistakes. Remember that mistakes are an opportunity to learn and grow, and that they can often lead to unique and beautiful results. Don't be discouraged if things don't go as planned. Instead, try to see the potential in every mistake, and use it to create something truly special. The main thing to take away from this video is that mistakes are not the end of the world. They're actually a natural part of the creative process, and they can often lead to amazing results. By embracing mistakes and using them as an opportunity to learn and grow, you can create truly unique and beautiful pieces of art. Please share your own painting mistakes in the comments below. Many people have unused scrapwood lying around, and they often struggle to find creative ways to repurpose it. This wood can come from old furniture, wooden crates, or even tree branches. You can find it in your backyard, garage, or even at a local hardware store. Scrapwood is a great material to work with because it's inexpensive and readily available. By upcycling scrapwood, you're not only creating something unique but also reducing waste. Scrapwood comes in various shapes, sizes, and textures, making each piece unique. You can use wooden planks, slices, or even small blocks to create your artwork. The natural imperfections of the wood, such as knots and grain patterns, can add character to your piece. When selecting your wood, consider the color, texture, and size of the piece, as well as any imperfections that could enhance your design. As you collect your scrapwood, think about the possibilities. You can create coasters, wall art, or even decorative boxes. The key is to see the potential in each piece and let your imagination run wild. You can combine different pieces of wood to create a unique collage or use a single piece as a canvas for your artwork. We'll go through the materials you'll need, tips for choosing your wood pieces, and some basic painting techniques to help you create your masterpiece. To get started, you'll need some basic painting supplies, such as acrylic paint, brushes, and a palette. You'll also need a sealant to protect your artwork from the elements. When choosing your paint, consider the color palette and finish you want to achieve: matte, glossy, or metallic. The type of brush you use can greatly affect the texture and appearance of your artwork. Natural brushes work well for creating soft, blended edges, while synthetic brushes are better for bold, sharp lines. You can also experiment with different brush strokes and techniques, such as layering or stippling, to add depth and interest to your piece. When it comes to painting on scrap wood, it's essential to prepare your surface first. Lightly sand the wood to smooth out any rough edges or splinters, and then wipe it clean with a damp cloth. This will help the paint adhere evenly and prevent any bumps or texture from showing through. Once your surface is prepared, you can start painting. Begin with a base coat, and then build up layers of color and detail. Watch as I demonstrate a step-by-step process of painting a mini artwork, showcasing the transformation from plain wood to a vibrant piece. I'll show you how to mix colors, create textures, and add patterns to your artwork. You can follow along and replicate the design, or use it as inspiration to create your own unique piece. As you work on your artwork, remember that it's okay to make mistakes. They can often lead to new and interesting ideas. Don't be afraid to experiment and try new things, and don't worry if your piece doesn't turn out exactly as you envisioned. The process of creating is just as important as the end result, and it's all about having fun and expressing yourself. The finished piece can be a beautiful addition to your home decor, or a thoughtful gift